Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for the premiere of the much anticipated Skylanders Giants Soul Seekers series here on the channel. It's going to be weird for me not to say Spyro's Adventure before Soul Seekers from this point onwards, but that's just the joy of bringing you the new series as I get notifications on my laptop that can't seem to shut up. I suppose my laptop is just as excited for this series even as I am, because it's going to work the exact same way as my Spyro's Adventure Soul Seekers series, and because we need to get 100% before we tackle the Archean trilogy, that means we're going to have a lot of things to do. We are talking about arenas as well as heroic challenges on top of that. So yeah, there's plenty of content to digest as we go along even, and this begs the question, who is going to be the very first soul we seek out? Well, it can't possibly be Shroom Boom from the very first chapter even. I'm struggling to speak this premiere apparently, but regardless, that's because of the fact that his soul gem is exclusively locked behind boulders, meaning you need a giant in order to access them. And so, because of that, we can't seek out his soul first for not having seeked out a giant soul beforehand. And speaking of giant souls, ironically, the giant hothead from the second level is also a soul that we cannot seek out, for it's behind a giant wall. It's the only way to blow up said wall is with a giant. There's no bombs around to act as for a replacement. You could dare go as far to say neither does the cannon in that final section of the level work for the wall either. So yes, that leaves us with the third level, where we're going to be kicking off the Skylanders Giants Soul Seeker series with none other than Hot Dog, as you heard me place him onto the portal right there. So without further ado, let's seek out this very first soul with the very interesting layout I've given you for the top right hand corner. Rather than like in Spyro's Adventure where all the characters were in uniform, this time around we have the giants being twice the size, of course. Well, actually no, technically on the scale they are 4 times the size, of course, because they are giants. They deserve to be presented as such in the layout to the top right hand corner. Anyway, just like we did with Spyro's Adventure, we are going to be previewing all of the soul gems. So, you know, ironically, Hot Dog over here was also locked behind something, but this was simply a locked door requiring the use of a key, that he was locked behind something far more simplistic than requiring a giant. Any soul could have seeked out this character without having got a giant previously, or seeked out the soul of a giant previously, dare I go as far to say. So yes, we have Hot Dog as our first soul being seeked out in the third level, as drawing as parallels to the Spyro's Adventure Soul Seeker series already, where we had to get through the first 2 levels with completing as few objectives as possible to get to the soul of the third level, mind you. So in Spyro's Adventure case, that was of course Sonic Boom, and in this case, that is Hot Dog, 2 4-legged creatures. So yeah, the parallels, they're just stacking up, it would seem. So it's time for me to absolutely annihilate every single one of these guys. Now we are going to go, after this, go straight towards the good old Cutthroat Carnival. That's the level that comes next. I got a little bit lost for words right there. Here at Toebiter's Keep, I guess. Quite the name, I suppose. Regardless of all that, we are going to be skipping over cutscenes as much as possible because we aren't looking for that cinematic approach, unlike the Skylanders Giants Ignitor Run, mind you. Anyway, we're going to purchase as many of these items as we can, which, per our luck, would be all of them, leaving Hot Dog with the magical number of gold. We can't possibly pick up any more treasure after that perfection right now. Hot Dog is at 69. In fact, you take the 3 out of his health and it's also 69 there. So close to that double 69. Anyway, without further ado, it's about time we got into this guy's management chamber and took ownership of this character. Now, my apologies if I keep going astray here. You know, I wind up starting a discussion topic and then forgetting about it entirely. But we didn't get the accolades for, and once again, that's something that we're going to need to do to 100% the game, as well as the adventure packs once more. The only way we can gain access to certain hats is through those adventure packs. But yeah, we're going to be heading straight to Cutthroat Carnival, speedrunning through that because we can't 100% it without a undead Skylander. But we will be seeking out the soul of Swarm still in that level, so that'll be our first giant. And so yeah, the accolades for the first non-starter pack character, and the Tuva Max have already been beaten by the Skylander that I took ownership of when I was speedrunning through those first 2 levels, completing as few objectives as possible. That being Series 1 Double Trouble, so whilst I played through the game with him, I took ownership of him also. But yeah, that's just about the only things we achieved off camera before we reached the very spot where we could seek out the soul of Hot Dog right here. Anyway, this series is pretty consistent, as far as adventure in particular. I got about 200 views per episode, meaning it did about as well as what the locks usually did, so I'm really proud of that. Thank you guys so much for supporting the series. It is a lot more creative and executed differently in comparison to, of course, the locks, despite the similarity in the rules. So it's always great to have a nice, fresh way to play through these games. Basically meaning that we're going to be spending half of this game playing through it with Hot Dog here. Yeah, it is until we unlock Swarm anyway. Monster Masher, we're already getting plenty of quest icons ticked off. And here comes enemy introductions that we shall be skipping over because again we aren't worried about the cinematic approach here. Anyway, what we could do is just trick this guy into running straight off the ledge. Oh, but we don't seem to be doing very successful at that. Yeah, we're just going to apparently fall off the ledge and do absolutely nothing. Bloody worthless Hot Dog. Bloody worthless, I'll tell ya. Okay, here he comes. Many, many times. Get over here! I said get over here, man! This is not really working out for me for cheese. So I think it's about time I just stopped for cheese and killed this guy regularly before my only soul that I've seeked out dies and the series, dies along with it. You could dare go as far to say. Not my smoothest run of Rumbletown, I must admit. But here I am, conducting the series anyway, despite the miserable failure of the start I have conducted for myself. But there's no one to blame here except me. I am definitely at fault, especially since now Hot Dog isn't at the magical treasure count. He's no longer at the awesome 69, so that is the ultimate depressiveness of it all. You don't ultimately get more shameful than that. Shame on me, I guess. But anyway, the finale is going to be long, it's going to be grand, because it is going to be the entirety of the Arcane trilogy. So naturally, the 3 souls that you normally seek out in those levels aren't even going to be seeked out until the finale. Those of course being the souls of Jetpack. Nobody's going to miss him, but Chill and Flashwing on the other hand, man, that's depressing. It's also depressing the lack of objectives I got there. We literally got the soul gem and nothing else. There were 2 treasure chests we could have got in those final areas before the arena, but unfortunately Hot Dog is not a giant, so he could not have been successful at either of them. With that being said, it is time for the Cutthroat Carnival, so let's load it up already. 8 minutes into this premiere right now. And of course this is a premiere, what else would it be? Now, just like with the Skylanders Giants Soul Seekers series, this will be going live on Mondays and Thursdays, and for members who get it 48 hours in advance, they will get it on Tuesdays and Saturdays, therefore. But here we go, with Cutthroat Carnival. It's time to go speedrunning and get our first ever speedrun objective, because as you saw from Rumbletown, we got many things, but the speedrun objective, not one of them. And actually, I instantly take it back, because we did not get many things. Just about the only thing we got was the soul gem. I was literally just complaining about that mere seconds ago. My brain, or more specifically my memory, is like a goldfish right now. And by goldfish I mean Dory, because yes, I was about to say yes, goldfish are in that movie, but it's actually clownfish that are in the movie Finding Nemo. But yeah, there's goldfish in that movie, and then there's Dory, who is very forgetful, like yours truly apparently. Which reminds me of Memento and the jokes that they bring about it in Brooklyn Nine-Nine! The final season for that show has came out, and I'm sure by the time this series actually premieres on YouTube, that said final season will be on Netflix UK. But as of the recording date of this video, which is all the way back in August, so that's no doubt really going to date this, but regardless, of course I haven't been able to watch the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine yet. I'm very excited, given it is one of my favourite sitcoms of all time. I thoroughly enjoy it. And yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there's one episode where Pimento is losing his memory constantly, and of course Peralta keeps comparing that to Memento. Talk about how it's Nolan's first movie, but that just shows that Pimento knows nothing, or should I say Peralta, because this is Peralta's line here. You know, Memento being Nolan's first movie. Newsflash for you, Peralta, you couldn't be more wrong. Nolan's first movie, Christopher Nolan's first movie to be exact, was Following. So get the facts right, son. But yeah, Pimento hasn't seen Memento yet, so Peralta keeps getting mad about it and everything. And so eventually he just caves in, because the only thing Pimento seems to understand with his whole memory loss is Finding Dory, the cute blue little fish. So yeah, he just caves in and compares his situation to the film Finding Dory. And that's when Pimento instantly understands. But now we have the Skystones tutorial. Great! I hate this tutorial so much, and to add salt to the wound, this time around it's muted. Otherwise, the gameplay audio would echo into my mic and it would not be glorious. But yeah, given that both of the surnames of those characters are Pimento and Peralta, no reason why I got them confused. I should have just called them Adrian and Jake, you know, first name basis. But yeah, by far the greatest thing about Brooklyn Nine-Nine is just the monotoneness of Captain Holt. The acting for him is perfect. You know, you have him have his best weekend ever, and he just says it in just such a emotionless way. It was my best weekend ever. I can't even do it to the same caliber as him, but it's truly brilliant. Or, you know, I've lost everything. This is the worst day of my life. And that's all he has to say about it. Holt is generally the best and one of my favourite characters in a show where all of the characters are my favourite characters. So yeah, there goes the Brooklyn Nine-Nine rant, but I have beaten fans. You can't go much wrong with that. And, you know, we've even gathered ourselves in Fuego Chompy, also something that you can't go much wrong with. Now, we're going to leave the objectives for now, for collectible objectives that is, because this is solely speedrun based for the moment being. We are going to get out here now. Yeah, there you go. Back to the live section that we can't switch out for because we haven't seeked out the soul of a single life Skylander. Not until we backtrack to Time of the Giants can we do that, or we could just wait until not Chompy Mountain, that's the wrong game, or we could just wait till Malkin Mountain, where we get T-Rex's Soul Gem, but honestly I don't think I can wait that long for Shroom Boom, especially since there are some levels in this game to where I can only 100% with a life Skylander, so I'd be doing myself a better job if I just seeked out a life soul sooner rather than later. There I go as far as saying. He hit me! How rude you hit me like that. Okay, let's be bringing out our Flame War here as well as our combos, because that too you can't go wrong with as we steer the ship away. Anyway, we have the legend himself, Blobbers, right now, which unfortunately we're going to press this button video game to skip over. I'm sorry, Blobbers, though, you are still a legend, my man. And here we go, the Promenade, where water is stronger here, but I'm the opposite of water, so might as well be the same thing. Fire and water. Anyway, here we go with some more boots. But this guy, he's going down. That's a lot of damage. Oh, yeah. Okay, take on them fools then. That's how we love to say it. Okay, here we go. Now, this guy, he's going down also. Okay, here we go. Slowly but surely we are getting these fools one by one. Who knows, we might even manage to sneak out the enemy goal as well as the speedrun this level. That's the hope anyway. Whether or not it will come into fruition, we're about to find out. Anyway, for those of you wondering which path this hot dog is down, clearly it is down the one where when you activate this wall of fire right here, then the little doggy faces that fire off whenever you fire off a primary attack. Anyway, here comes the soul of Swarm, having been seeked out, and as per the norm, of course, we shall be previewing this beast, who just so happens to be my favourite giant. Boy, am I glad to have unlocked him as early as I have. Oh, and then I accidentally skipped the preview. My bad! This is what happens with my button hastiness, so I'll just have to insert the preview into the edit.
No.
Right there, right when I got a freeze frame upon collecting that Winged Sapphire, I suppose, because there's nothing more perfect than drawing a freeze frame inserting the very Soul Gem preview that I accidentally skipped over. Regardless, there is an air gate right over here. The main reason I'm doing this is that I believe we can still have a successful speedrun while still getting this hat. It's not exactly a difficult nor tedious hat to get. It's basically on the main path at this point. You know, look at the speed in which I'm about to grab this hat right here. Well, it would be faster if not for the fact that I accidentally activated my bees right there. Once again, because for flight in the other games is what would be the B button on the Xbox controller, but because this is Giants, the B button actually activates the swarm, and it's the X button which activates this flight. Anyway, without further ado, just like what we did with Hot Dog, it's time to take ownership of this guy right now. Let's freaking go. And then let's continue to speedrun this. Swarm makes for a far superior speedrunner, given his maneuverability and how much speed and agility he has whilst flying, mind you. And even better yet, this saves us a Skystone match, because instead, this is where the feat of strength comes in. So let's be mashing that Y button. I'll be mashing that Y button, oh yeah. Then we're gonna pull in the ship. Oh, this is quite good, almighty nice, if you were to ask me. Swarm seems pretty proud of himself, and could you blame him? In his situation, I too would also be proud of myself. So now we've got this cutscene to wait through apparently before we can fire the cannon. There you go, that's what we like to see, my friends. We very much like to see that indeed. And another thing to parallel this in comparison to the Spyro's Adventure Soul Seekers run I've done already is that, just like that series, these episodes will aim to be around 30 seconds in length. Now those guys have been absolutely annihilated right now. And then here comes this guy with another cutscene that I can't skip. Well, that sure is inconvenient. Anyway, we have some things that we can destroy with Swarm's might. You know, him being a giant definitely gives us a massive advantage. Anyway, we have Woof! Skystone Master Woof! Man, I love that name, I love it so much. And with that being said, it's time to destroy. Wait, we didn't even need to destroy that. We could have just came over here and just destroyed this one instead. I just have such a longing for giant destruction right now, apparently. There is nothing that can quench my thirst for the destruction of walls, apparently. Why? Because the walls looked at me funny, that's why. If the walls don't want to be destroyed, then they should have looked at me funny. It's that simple. So here we go with more Skystones. Well, Skystones tutorial specifically. Ugh! I say. So let's bring in this guy. Let's now see Archer, see Throw Archer to be exact. Don't ask me where that voice came from. But hey, I made a pun. To be exact. I'm hilarious, folks. Anyway, we're going to use the Inhuman Shield right now. I mean, of course it's Inhuman. It's not even a fucking human. It's a troll. And last time I checked, the troll is not a fucking human. Oh boy, it's a premiere and I'm already bringing out the swears. Ooh, I'm naughty. So let's be taking advantage of this Mace Major 2 even. I about said Mace Major move then. But regardless, this was the legendary stone that the legend himself, Blobbers, presented us with. So why the heck not take advantage of it? It's a perfect stone to take advantage of, mind you. A gift from a god himself. That god, of course, being Blobbers. I mean, let's not forget that he did Falcon Punch, a Rubble Maker, which was about to, like, rewrite Skylanders. So naturally, that guy's a hero. He did what the Skylanders couldn't. Without Blobbers, the universe would just be doomed, so we sure are lucky to have Blobbers on the side of good. And he went through a full, like, arc, that level. How many NPCs, especially Imaginators of all things, get a character arc? Blobbers was just so special to the developers that they gave him special treatment. Anyway, speaking of special treatment, it's time for Hot Dog to get some treats. And by treats, I mean beating up some bad guys here in this fire elemental area. Our first necessary switch, I suppose, for an elemental area in this game. Of course, we swapped out the Swarm earlier to gain access to the Air Elemental Gate, which is legal because we can make those swaps despite what the element of the area might be. But otherwise, we must swap out for a Skylander corresponding to the current element at hand, and in this case, that's fire. Hot Dog's element. So the first necessary switch, for sure. Anyway, let's be grabbing ourselves some more gold as we head up here, or should I say silver specifically. You know, it's more so treasure than what it is gold, but I'm just so used to calling it gold at this point, it comes as second nature to me, and here comes the fools that are in the ripe need for destruction. Luckily for us, that's where Hot Dog comes in, and for those of you wondering what difficulty we're playing on right now, it is hard difficulty purely because I don't trust myself. On Nightmare, I would no doubt kill off all my characters before I have the opportunity to 100% this game. If not for the fact I've had to 100% this game, I totally would have played a Nightmare mode. But Giants, you kind of need them to 100% the game, and a Nightmare mode, if they are enemy bait, you know, if they are cannon fodder, you are literally just asking for genocide if you bring out for Giants in Nightmare mode. Giants and Nightmare mode in this game do not mix, shall we say. Large hitboxes, enemies that deal 500 damage per hit. No thank you. Anyway, here comes some more fools that are about to be hit in the face by yours truly, because this is full how way we like it. Okay, here we go, let's take out some fools then. And as a heads up, any deaths in arenas or heroic challenges count as deaths, and whenever a Skylanders defeats in battle, they are classed as dead and cannot be used again. So therefore, we should definitely avoid said situations like the plague. The last thing I want to do is start losing my Skylar lives to arenas and heroic challenges of all things. Anyway, it's time for us to make our way towards Dreadbeard once more. Woo! Very cool. Key in hand or everything, or should I say key in floating mid-air, because that seems to be the case right now. So let's open up the gates, that's what we love to sing. Well, 'tis a Skylander indeed, this says Dreadbeard. My apologies if you hear rumbling in the background. I'm currently rumbling around my magic items, and now rumbling around, rustling around my magic items even is gonna be the thing that spells out Hot Dog's doom apparently, as I, you know, just kind of stood still, welcoming those enemies into attacking me. You know, it's basically an open invitation at that point. Regardless, I was rustling through my magic items because after this I plan on tackling the Dark Light Crypt. See how Hot Dog can handle his solo run, because this guy can get through the Dark Light Crypt to 100%, given that there's a Fire Elemental Gate in that level, and that is very much his element. Anyway, let's take down some fools. This is how we like to see them. Okay, here we are. We got more brutes too. Luckily for us, they're going to be no problemo whatsoever. But yeah, the last time we tackled Dark Light Crypt, it was effectively an Igniter solo run with a good bit of Ghost Roaster thrown in there for good measure, but because Ghost Roaster isn't a part of this game, you know, we can't exactly seek out his soul, which is unfortunate because that's what's going to leave the undead souls having been seeked out so late in the game, because the first one that appears is Fright Rider in Aerial Assault, so we need to get to the 10th level before we even get a single undead soul, and I'm trying to think if any elements are worse than that. Well, technically life, if you don't backtrack for Shroomboom, we don't unlock until Morgan Mountain of T-Rex, as I was talking about earlier. So that's why we're definitely going to do backtracking at some point. But apart from undead, you know, most of these souls can be seeked out quite early. You know, we've already found fire and light, fire and air even, for example. Tech and water are approaching shortly, given that they come up in Glacier Gully and Secret Vault Secrets alike. 2 levels in which we can 100% first time around them, given that Chapter 5 only... Well, I forgot about the Magic Gate in Chapter 5, so never mind, because I was about to say Chapter 5, the only elemental gate it has is that of the fire element. That, my friends, would be a lie. Well, he didn't need to put it that way, but it certainly was a lie I was saying. But editing aside, let's be skipping over this and winning this Skystones battle for that Archean Jouster. I hope you like that stone, because it's a stone we're going to have earned from Thrashing the Sky 7-2. That's just how I roll, baby. I do be a fine player. Yeah, that's not quite happening, Dreadbeard, my man. You're not even a man, and you're certainly not mine. You're not my man. So, let's be skipping over that cutscene. I can't deal with the utter devastation of leaving blobbers behind. That's too much for my puny heart to handle. You've got to be joking, mate. The air gate, in the end, screwed me over a lot more than I was expecting because it meant we were 3 seconds short of a speedrun. Now, if that is Ultimate Depression, if I ever have seen it, boy, that makes me upset. Luckily for me, though, I can play the best level in this game, which ironically isn't even leveled from this game, so that's going to cheer me up as I play into the portal. The Dark Knight Crypt, mind you. Woo! So spooky. So let's travel. Without further ado, all this means is that in the future we're going to have to go to Cutthroat Carnival 2 times more once to get the speedrun objective successfully, I'd hope, and then another time to actually 100% level after we, you know, seek out Fright Riders, Soul in Aerial Assault. Anyway, luckily for us we can skip over half the cutscene this time, but this here exposition is unskippable. Just get on with it. I want to do this solo shot with Hot Dog without further ado, and then we can come back here for speedrun after we unlock more characters, because the joy of playing through the Dark Knight Crypt and Giants is that we get to play it with all of the new characters. You know, it's the only example in the franchise to where we can use new characters to experience the older levels. And because of the water section in Pirate Seas, it meant that they had to make animations for all of the flying characters. Of course, Jetpack could fly over it, as could Swarm with their flying-based abilities. In fact, every air Skylander from this game can traverse over water, as can every water Skylander, obviously. They are of water element for Pete's sake, so they gave swimming animations to Chill and Fun Pack for the sake of that one section of the Pirate Seas. No wonder why the animations are pretty jank, if you were to ask me. Anyway, I say all of the air characters can fly over water. I'm not sure about Lightning Rod. I can't remember whether Lightning Rod flies over water. I know for a fact Sonic Boom, Whirlwind and Warnado literally have Flight as one of their abilities, so if they can deal with it, no problem, but Lightning Rod, on the other hand, I can't quite remember. You'd think, given that he's just a floating cloud, he'd manage to traverse over water just fine, but I can't remember the last time I actually traversed over water utilising Lightning Rod, mind you. Anyway, we've got some enemies here that are in need of a beatdown, so luckily that's what we got Hot Dog for. And here's more cutscenes for us to skip. We saw them in the Spyro's Adventure Soul Seekers series, so I don't think we need to see them again. Anyway, what's funny is that because we can't seek out Ghost Roaster's soul this time around, back there is literally nothing to discover. So instead we're just going to shift back to the world of the living, destroy this Duke whilst we're at it. Yeah, that's what we love to see. But there is Soul Gem, not Soul Gems, Story Scrolls also that we can seek out here. So we're going to head backwards and do precisely that. Even though this time the Story Scroll looks rather interesting, I'd say. But we're not going to be listening to it. That's going to be a typical no. Just like the cutscenes, we're going to be skipping straight over those. But unlike Spyro's Adventure that just plays out for scroll by default, this time around we can just say no as to whether we do or do not want to quote-unquote read it, even though you don't actually read the story scrolls. The voice actor from Master Rion was kind enough to read it for us on our behalf. What a legend. I mean, reading in a video game? No thank you. I'm a gamer. I game to avoid the reading. So with that being said, we have to traverse all the way around here. Unfortunately for us, Hot Dog is not the fastest of characters, but we're going to be able to successfully gather this treasure chest in the world of the living all the same. So it's time to go on button mashing. There you go now, baby. So because you collect 4 treasure chests in Giants levels, that same thing translates over here to where you need to gather 4 treasure chests here as well. But, you know, basically the only thing that counts towards the objectives are the treasure chests and what else? Treasure chests and hats. So there is no legendary treasure to find in this level. In fact, I think they replace the legendary treasure with the 4th treasure chest. Then the soul gem is just gone, it just vanished. And as we saw earlier, the story scroll doesn't count towards our objective, and it's literally just a runic plaque-like thing, but we collected it anyway, just for the sake of completion, I guess. So now let's take down that Duke and continue to proceed to absolutely annihilate this puzzle right here. Let's get to it. Yeah, baby. Okay, here we go. Luckily for us, unlike Spyro's Adventure, this thing can actually tilt at a speed faster than 50 miles per hour, so these puzzles have actually become bearable now. So yep, there we go. Perfect score and 8 moves. We got all 4 orby thingies as enemies proceed to want to attack me. But luckily for me, now I'm in my element as fire is stronger here. Conveniently enough, there's Hot Dog's element. Anyway, I should start getting hit less now, otherwise I'm going to die, and that would be inconvenient for the premiere of all things, mind you. A premiere which is basically coming to an end. So yes, thank you all for checking out the literal premiere of this series. I will of course be seeing you next Monday for another episode of the Giants Soul Seekers series here on my channel. Now, with that all being said and done, this video is coming to an end, but before that happens, I first want to thank all my Blazing Knights and Scorpion Dragons whose support allow me to continue pumping out quality videos like this one. Without them, this all wouldn't be possible. Therefore, I genuinely appreciate every last one of you from the bottom of my heart. If you enjoyed this video, I have others you can watch by clicking on screen now, and you can even subscribe by pressing the button on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one, but until that moment arises, peace!